Very interesting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me start my presentation. And today will be the introductory lecture on the Unit 2. Let me open my PowerPoint. Then 2 minutes I will share the PPT. Somebody is asking to join. Okay, so let me present my screen to you. So I think my screen is visible to you. Uh, I am just making it full slide. So till now in Unit 1, we have gone through the transient response of a system. We have seen that what does transient response means, and we have even calculated the transient response of RL circuits, RC circuits, series RLC circuits with step input as well as sinusoidal input. Okay, and we have concluded that the transient response of the system is the natural response of the system, which usually happens, which always will happen in a system which will have the energy storage elements. For example, if inductors and capacitors are present into the system, then the transient response will always be there. In the second order circuits, the transient response may become even complex and can be further classified into underdamped, overdamped, and critically damped responses. We have also calculated for RL circuit the sinusoidal response, which can further be extended to RC and RLC. That is very easy. The transient part we have seen will remain same as was in the case of DC. The only difference will be in the AC circuits. Okay, so the AC circuits we have found that there can be some conditions in which the transient of the system can be avoided, or it can be made to zero. So that is only possible in RL or RC circuit, but not in RLC circuit. Now, with this as a background and so many things we have discussed, we have also discussed the behavior of different elements. For example, the most important thing, जो सबसे important चीज आपने ऑब्जर्व किया होगा, and you must continue to solve numericals and do simulation on the transient response of the system. The basic thing which you should understand, that the behavior of the elements, okay, how this L and C are behaving so much uh, uh, with R. If you see the response of the system, for DC response you are getting a DC steady state. Okay, the capacitor is behaving in a different manner, the inductor current is different. However, if the AC is applied, then the same response may change. So the behavior of elements, similarly series RLC circuit, parallel RLC circuit, RL circuit, RC circuit, and their excitation and response. So there are wonderful things to be observed if you do the proper simulation, not only the theoretical, because theoretical solution will tell you that mathematical equation. Now the simulation, what does it tell you? It basically reflects the mathematical solution in the graphical form. Okay, so that means if you do the simulation, अगर आप simulation करें with the circuits which we have solved for numericals, then you will find that exactly the same result will come and you will be able to visualize it. तो सिमुलेशन करने को हम लोग मैं इसलिए ज्यादा अहमियत देता हूँ पर्टिकुलरली कि वो दिमाग में या मेमोरी में बहुत देर तक रहता है. ठीक है, कैलकुलेशन आदमी भूल जाता है और थ्योरी भी कुछ दिनों के बाद जो है वो भूल जाता है. लेकिन अगर आप देखें कि इफ यू डू द सिमुलेशन विद यूजिंग एनी सॉफ्टवेयर, so that graphical image will remain in your mind for a very long time. जैसे maximum power point theorem, I simulated very basic circuit very simple series RLC circuit. I plotted the power values in the Excel file. Okay, and I have shown you, as you have seen in your WhatsApp chat, that the maximum power point is coming at a situation when RL is equal to RS. That means when the load is variable and when the load becomes equal to the source, the maximum power can be delivered, can be transferred. Not delivered is not the correct word, but the transferred is the correct word. That the maximum power can be transferred from one circuit to another if both the impedances which are seen from the load side and the source side are equal, provided the load remains variable. So it is exactly the same what we have derived through the mathematical equation. So mathematics and simulation will always agree with each other. Okay. If you read any paper, any good paper, any research paper from IEEE journals or some good conferences, they will always write in conclusion. In conclusion the people write, ठीक है, conclusion लोग लिखते हैं कि the theoretical simulation and the practical results agree with each other. So that means our theoretical analysis, whatever we have derived, is actually coming out to be same to the simulation, and after simulation we perform hardware. So if all these three things are matching, then only we can say that our circuit is perfectly working fine. तो इसमें होता क्या है, suppose you have done calculation and you are thinking that my calculation is correct, there is no error in that. Okay, because usually in books you get answer, so you can easily verify. When you build a new circuit, you don't know what is the mathematical equation, whether I have derived it correctly or not. Okay, so then you do simulation of that. Yeah, then you do the simulation of that, because before doing the hardware you need to do the simulation. Hardware करने से पहले आपको simulation करना पड़ेगा, because if you do the hardware directly, if there are problems in the circuit, that will be reflected in the simulation. You cannot perform the hardware directly, otherwise what will happen, some damage will happen, some the response will not become good, and your money which is there in you have involved in the hardware will always go in waste. So to avoid that, we always perform simulation studies before. And before simulation studies, we perform the theoretical studies. For example, we check through our conventional knowledge, through KVL, KCL, differential equations, all the things which we have gone through, that our circuit may work properly. Now this may work becomes confirms when you perform simulation. Okay, so if you will start the simulation from this time, the second year onwards, you will be very comfortable till your project. Okay, when you will go in your final year, you will be very comfortable in simulation and you can directly start the hardware. Simulation doesn't only mean simulation. Simulation also means you should also work in the coding part. Okay, so if you are in electrical engineering and you don't know the coding, you don't know the C, C++, MATLAB, at least I'm not talking about other languages, Java, Fortran. I'm not talking about all these. I'm talking about these basic languages, C, C++, and MATLAB, and especially MATLAB. Okay, this is a high level language, MATLAB, which is essentially very important for your employability, for your research activities, for your internship activities, everything. The MATLAB should be known to each and every student. Now, what do the students do? They think that the MATLAB is not there in their syllabus. Why should we go through? Okay. See, whenever you go for any employability or anything else, nobody will ask you about the RLC circuit. Okay. Nobody will ask you about the RLC circuit because they don't want you to work for you for RLC circuit. Okay, or signal systems or EMFT. They are not even iota of interested in that. Okay, these are conventional electrical engineering subjects which are taught so that your mathematical aptitude becomes strong. Okay, that's why these subjects are being taught to you. But if you go in any research in any industry, anywhere you go, okay, whether you are go in job, whether you go in research, whether you go in industry, anywhere in the planet you will go, you will always be encountered with two things, that is your mathematical aptitude and your coding. It doesn't matter whether you are a computer engineering student or a mechanical engineering student or a electronics engineering student. And that's why I always signify to my students that to learn coding as well as simulation is very important. It's very important. If you, and nobody is going to force you for that. Okay, obviously you are not getting an exam for that, so you are not being forced to that. But once you start taking mini projects in any of the clubs, okay, which are there in the college, or you start working under some of the teachers on some small projects. If you are interested in mid-caste scholarship, all these, for example, the third year students are now uh, filing for this mid-caste scholarship for Canadian universities. So they are showing their publications, their research work, which they have done in their different respective students. So you should also, when the college reopens, should all start these activities aggressively, because usually, because you know that your lot of time is now wasted from Feb to now almost mid of September. So you have to work on aggressively on that front. Only then you can get good internship opportunities and these things. Okay, so that was not my topic today, but eventually I thought that it may get important because you are not getting the proper guidance, maybe because you are not in the college. So all these things are very, very important. So all those students who are doing it on their own, very good, excellent. But all the students who are still not well versed with the simulation softwares, because nobody in your syllabus will tell you. Only in final year there is a course on MATLAB. Okay, MATLAB programming, which was earlier there on second year, it is moved to final year. So only then you will get to know about some of the basics of MATLAB. But there, I tell you, there are so many tutorials on YouTube, NPTEL, Swayam portal, which you can access the coding part and start doing small stuff. Okay, usually the our students from ZHCT are so poor in coding that they even cannot compete with 10th class student of some good colleges or good schools. So poor in coding. They don't know. If you just tell them go and work on MATLAB, they will do. They just flattened. They just say that we can't do it because nobody told. And the best excuse is that nobody told us. Nobody will ever tell to do that. But when if you will pass out from here, your employability will be, if you don't know any coding language and you say that why should we learn coding language? We are core people, we are electrical people. So the core electrical jobs are huge, almost vanishing now. Okay, you have to work on some coding part, some analytical part. So this is very, very important. And I tell, if you ask any third year student, any final year who is working under me or Dr. Adil Sarwar or Dr. Tariq or Dr. Afroz, anybody who is working under us will tell you that you have to work on your coding, because he will say you, वो आपको बता देगा कि without, if you are not doing coding, then you are only a theoretical engineer. Both coding as well as hardware is very, very important for undergraduate students. Hardware doesn't mean you have to build a new hardware, but hardware you have to do it by your hands, just like a electrician or a technician does. Okay, that's why you will learn things. Otherwise you go in lab, the connections are already made. Okay, you just take readings and come away, you don't learn anything. Okay, so what happens that when you are asked to do it independently, you don't do it. वो हमें कराया नहीं, वो हमें बताया नहीं. These are the excuses which generally people do. So in mind you should be clear that as an electrical engineer I should have two good, strong things with me. That is, one thing is that about the hardware, and other is coding. Okay. So this much with the background. I am starting with the I am starting with a new unit, and uh, let me formalize it. So this is unit two. Uh, I will take questions after this discussion. You can ask anything if you are related to anything regarding coding or two port networks. Okay, so reference books are same. One is Alexander Sadiku. In fact, this can be your only reference book for this unit, Alexander Sadiku, which we have used in first unit also. Other books which are also can be used for numericals are William Haight. This is another book for which William Haight, Kimmerly. I am writing the author's name only. And so this is another book of electrical circuits. Another book which is also good is Nielsen and Riddle, which I have already, I think you are having it. Nielsen and Riddle, and Datta Roy Chaudhary. That is also a good book for this unit. And Ashfaq Hussain is also there. If you have, you can also solve numericals from these units. Okay. See, I only emphasize on these foreign books not only because that these are good books, but just to emphasize on the fact that uh, okay, so Shahrukh, the Sadiku you can go through. I think Sadiku will be enough for this. If you want to solve more numerical problems, then all of these books are good books. Now, only I signify that why Sadiku or Haight or Nielsen Riddle are good books. Okay, they are not written for actually Indian students. Okay, so usually Indian books which are written are there for passing the examination, and they usually have problems copied from all these old books, or you can say standard books which are already there in the market. So it is better to read the original copy from where all the people have taken. Okay, so just not for passing the examinations. If you see these books, I think it is Alexander is with A. That doesn't matter. If you see these books, the one thing, and you study on it on your own. Every time you will find that you have gained something new. Okay, so I also recommend to my students, which was recommended to my supervisor once. That is, you should always study the basic electrical engineering from Del Toro. This is a very good book, Del Toro. This is the name is. You can order it from Amazon. It is available, Del Toro, and you should have this book, Del Toro Basics of Electrical Engineering. Okay, so long back, our professors used to uh, taught us from this Del Toro, that is Basics of Electrical Engineering. Professor Shamsuddin Saab, Professor Anwar Saab. Uh, in fact, this book was recommended to me long back by Mr. Mujibullah Zubairi Saab, who is now the controller of examination. So once I was sitting, he was taking my viva, so he told me that in first year, you should always buy this Del Toro book. It's very, very good, and it's very fantastic. It's basically the basics of all the electrical engineering are there. Not very interactive written, just not very colored book, but the matter is there. Okay, to understand. And all these books you have already gone through. Okay, so the two port networks. Okay, as the name suggests, what do you mean by two port? Okay, so first we will go through a definition of port. What do you mean by a port? Port is a very common word. You always see for different purposes we use this word port. But in electrical engineering terminology, port is a terminal of pair of terminals. It is a pair of terminals at which signal may enter or leave from the network from the network is called as a port. That means if this is a network, this is represented by N, then if I show the terminals like this, and I say the voltage across the terminals is V, and the current entering in the terminal is I, then this 1 and 1 dash is constitutes a port. Constitutes a port. Now, all the measurements are done at port. आप किसी भी सिस्टम को देखिए, चाहे आप अपने घर में लगे हुए यूनिट फैन को देखिए, चाहे आप इंडक्शन मोटर को देखिए, चाहे आप ट्रांसफार्मर को देखिए, या किसी भी सिस्टम को देखिए, तो बेसिकली हम जो भी मेजरमेंट्स करते हैं विद द हेल्प ऑफ वोल्ट मीटर और एमीमीटर, वी ऑलवेज डू एट पोर्ट. ओके, सो वी डिसाइड पोर्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप जहाँ पे इस वक्त बैठे हुए लेक्चर सुन रहे हैं, अपने रूम में, तो आप अपने रूम में जहाँ पे फैन का स्विच होगा वहां पे देखिए कि उसके पीछे का सर्किट आपको नहीं पता है। ठीक है, तो वो बेसिकली एक ब्लैक बॉक्स है। जैसे ये हमारा एक ब्लैक बॉक्स है, हमें नहीं पता अंदर कैसा सर्किट है, रेजिस्टिव है, इंडक्टिव है, कैपेसिटिव है, वो कैसे कटा है, उसको कैसे जोड़ा गया है, बट वी डोंट नो। बट वी, इफ एनीथिंग हैपेंस टू आवर सिस्टम, जैसे मान लीजिए आपका फैन नहीं चल रहा है, ठीक है, आपके घर, आपके रूम में ट्यूबलाइट नहीं जल रही है, तो हम क्या करेंगे? बेसिकली जो इलेक्ट्रिशियन आता है वो क्या करता है? वो बेसिकली कुछ टर्मिनल पॉइंट्स पे वोल्टेज और करंट को मेजर करता है। ठीक है, और ये बता देता है या ये इन्फरेंस ड्रॉ कर लेता है कि भाई इस जगह पे फॉल्ट है। उसके बाद वो इस पैनल को या इस ब्लैक बॉक्स को खोलने की कोशिश करता है और फिर देखता है कि क्या यहाँ पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम है या कहाँ पे। तो बेसिकली मेजरमेंट्स जो हैं, जितनी भी मेजरमेंट्स हैं वो हम लोग पोर्ट पे करते हैं। और पोर्ट है क्या? अ पेयर ऑफ टर्मिनल्स है एट विच द सिग्नल में एंटर और लीव, जहाँ पे आप वोल्टेज अप्लाई करते हो और करंट को मेजर कर सकते हो, या वाइस वर्सा। ठीक है, बेसिकली वी अप्लाई, यूजुअली इन प्रैक्टिकल वी हैव ओनली इंडिपेंडेंट वोल्टेज सोर्स यूजुअली। ठीक है, प्रैक्टिकली वी हैव इंडिपेंडेंट, यूजुअली वी हैव इंडिपेंडेंट voltage source. Very few sources behave as current source. One of the examples is solar PV system, which can be taken as a current source, independent current source, uh, which depends on the insolation and so many things. Not truly independent, but yes, you can take it as a current source for a period of time that is independent in nature. तो पोर्ट क्या है? अ पेयर ऑफ टर्मिनल्स एट विच सिग्नल में एंटर और लीव। तो सिग्नल जो है हमारे केस में यहाँ पे करंट है, अगर ये करंट सिस्टम के अंदर जा रही है तो दैट मच करंट शुड कम आउट टू द सिस्टम। एंड so basically this is a port, so this is a single, this is a terminal two terminal one port network। जो मैंने आपको दिखाया है, ठीक है, जैसे रेजिस्टेंस है, ठीक है, तो रेजिस्टेंस में आप जो भी मेजरमेंट करेंगे वो इस पोर्ट पे करेंगे। ठीक है, यहाँ पे आप वोल्ट मीटर लगा सकते हैं और इसी में आप यहाँ पे एमीटर लगा सकते हैं। तो बेसिकली ये जो दो टर्मिनल्स हैं, टू टर्मिनल्स, ये वन और वन डैश जो है, ये बेसिकली कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करते हैं एक पोर्ट को। ठीक है, तो जितने सर्किट्स अभी आपने पढ़े हैं, अभी पिछले यूनिट में जितने भी आपने आरएलसी सीरीज सर्किट, जितने भी आप देखे ना कि आपने पढ़ा था, ये एक बाई आर सर्किट है, एक एल सर्किट है, एक सी सर्किट है, ये इसका वोल्टेज सोर्स है। तो एक बेसिकली आप बता रहे हैं कि ये एक पोर्ट है। ठीक है, वन और वन डैश, ये एक पोर्ट है जहाँ से आप इनपुट वोल्टेज और इनपुट करंट सप्लाई कर सकते हैं, और यहाँ पे मान लीजिए एक स्विच है। इसी तरह से सिस्टम में एक पोर्ट से ज्यादा भी पॉइंट ऑफ एक्सेस हो सकता है। जैसे मैं कह सकता हूँ कि इस सर्किट में एक पोर्ट ये है और दूसरा पोर्ट हम यहाँ बना रहे हैं। कहने का मतलब है ये भी एक पोर्ट है जिससे हमें कैपेसिटर वोल्टेज पता चलेगा। ठीक है, तो ये एक और पोर्ट हो गया। एक और पोर्ट आप बना सकते हैं यहाँ पे, ठीक है, कि यहाँ से भी हम कुछ मेजरमेंट लेना चाह रहे हैं, तो ये एक दूसरे तरह का पोर्ट हो गया। तो बेसिकली कोई भी सिस्टम में एन पोर्ट्स हो सकते हैं। यू कैन हैव एन पोर्ट्स इन अ सिस्टम। ओके, तो if you are representing something like this, if you are representing something like this is a representation of one port network. This is a representation of one port network. Similarly, you can represent through multi-port networks also. You can represent through multi-port networks also. The commonest example of common examples of two-port networks. Can you tell any example which you have already studied in your first year? Two-port network. That yes,
Transformer is a two.
yes, very good. Yes, very good. The best example is transformer. Okay, so transformer is always a two-port network. Always a two-port network. Okay, and more than two ports are can also be more than two ports can also be there. For example, if I represent it V1, I1, I am representing it as an ideal transformer. Okay, not taking any losses or shunt branch, just an ideal transformer. So if an ideal transformer I take, or non-ideal I can also take, that will always be an example of a two-port network, because you see the input port is always connected to the input side, that is the grid side. Okay, grid side or generation side, uh, or the substation side, and the output port will be connected to the always be connected to the load side or the feeder side. Okay, so that means there are two different ports, and the V1 and V2 can be V1 and V2 can V1 V2 and I1 and I2 can be are different, and they are have a relationship that is V1 upon V2 is equal to I2 upon I1, that is equal to the turns ratio. Okay, so that is the turns ratio A is to 1 in the always in this. So this is a very good example of two port network. Okay, so usually we encounter practical systems are, you can also write a comment that practical systems usually are two ports, one for input, one for input, and second for out. Okay, so you can always say that the you can always we will be talking about the ports in which the input and output both are electrical. That means we will consider only those circuits for our scrutiny in which the network is there and there are ports. One port is there, another port is there. So we will represent it like this. This is 1, 1 dash, 2, 2 dash. This is a two port network. And we will see that if the voltage here is V1, then the voltage at this port is V2. If the current here is I1, then the current here is I2. Okay. Now, one thing is fascinating and very, very important, that why we are not drawing the actual circuit, but we are representing the network or circuit with the symbol N. Okay. So that means this always remains a mystery. This is we are treating it like a black box. Why we are treating it like a black box? The answer to it, this mystery, is that if you know what is happening at the terminal voltage, terminal end, कहने का मतलब यह है कि अगर आप इस V1 और I1 और इस V2 और I2 को मेजर कर सकते हैं, मतलब कंट्रोल की लैंग्वेज में बोले कि इफ यू कैन मेजर एंड कंट्रोल, दैट मींस इफ दे आर कंट्रोल में इसको बोलते हैं इफ दे आर कंट्रोलेबल एंड ऑब्जर्वेबल. There are two terms which you will study in your final year control: controllability and observability. That means if you can observe these or measure these, and you can control these also, these parameters, that is V1 I1 and V2 I2, then that means you need not to know what is inside the circuit. ठीक है, अगर आपको ये मेजरमेंट मिल जा रहा है, बेसिकली हमारा जो प्रैक्टिकल सिस्टम है जिसको हम यूज करते हैं, if you are able to measure these and establish a relationship between these, that means if you know that how this V1 is connected to V2 and I1 is connected to I2, that means you have, suppose you have a matrix like this: V1 I1 is equal to some matrix multiplied by V2 I2. Okay, so if you know this relationship matrix, that is N, that means if you know that how V1 is connected to V2 and I2, okay, and how I1 is connected to V2 and I2, that means if you can write a relationship between these V and V2, the V1 and V2 and I2, and I1 and V2 and I2, then you can completely describe a system, that you can completely describe a system without knowing what is actually in the black box, whether the resistance are connected like this, or taking the example of resistance. Network can be anything, whether they are connected like this, or they are having this, or they have a structure like this, or they have an inductor and they have a capacitor and they have a source. Whatever thing is there, we are not particularly interested in this configuration. Okay, we are not going to solve this configuration. We are writing it in a matrix form. Okay, this is one of the powerful ways to solve a circuit also. We are writing in matrix form. We are interested that what is this n matrix. So if this is the order of this column matrix is 2 by 1, and the that means we are 2 rows and 1 columns, and similarly we are having, then this matrix will have an order of 2 by 2, or if we are having taking a two port network. So that means if the elements of this matrix, if I call it n11, n12, n21, and n22, okay, if all these n11, n2, n21, n22 are known, and we are taking the linear circuits only, we are taking the we are restricting our discussion to linear circuits only. That means the relationship between the voltage and current will remain linear. Then we can write down easily V1 is equal to N11 I1 plus N12. Okay, if you see this matrix, I am writing it from here. V1 is equal to, for example, if I write here N11, N12, N21, and N22, then easily I can write down that V1 will be is equal to N11 into V2 plus N12 into I. Okay, N11 into uh, V2 plus N12 into I. So this is one of the equations. That means if this is known, if N11 and N2 are known, then for any value of V2 and I2, I can calculate V1. Okay, another equation that I can write easily from this is the relationship between the I1 and V2 and I2. Okay, so I can write I1 is equal to from this, you see it again, N21 V2 plus N22 I2, N21 V2 plus N22 I2. Okay, N22 I2. That means the system is characterized by, this network system is characterized by, and this you see are what? They are nothing but they are KVL equations. I have just written the KVL equation. This is a KVL equation, and this is a KCL equation. Okay, I have written in terms of V1. This is a KVL equation, and this is a KCL equation. So basically, I am writing KVL and KCL. Basically, I am writing a KVL and KCL in terms of n. If I make I2 as 0, then N1 will become V1 upon V2. So the values of N1, we will see how these values can be calculated on next classes. But if you see N11, N12, N21, and N22, if I write it here, N11, N12, N21, and N22, these signify the system, this characteristic of the system. These will not change. These parameters will not change. They will remain constant. Okay, they will remain constant, and they signify the system. What is the system itself in it is. Only thing which will change is your port terminal. Suppose if you change V2 or I2 by changing the load, if you take the example of transformer, then V1 and I1 will change. ये ऐसे ही है जैसे आप एक को एग्जाम्पल समझ सकते हैं ट्रांसफार्मर के. अगर आपका एक ट्रांसफार्मर है तो इसका टर्न्स रेशियो तो फिक्स है, ठीक है. ये भी एक टू पोर्ट नेटवर्क है. कल हम इसको देखेंगे कि ट्रांसफार्मर को कैसे मॉडल कर सकते हैं. तो अगर ये जो टर्न्स रेशियो है ये तो फिक्स है, ये जब जिस टाइम पर ट्रांसफार्मर बन गया तो ये फिक्स है. तो बेसिकली ये एक नेटवर्क है, इसको आप एन से रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं, इसको मैट्रिक्स से रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं. अब क्या चीज चेंज हो रही है? V1 आप चेंज कर सकते हैं, उसके कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग I1 ऑटोमेटिक चेंज हो जाएगा, और I2 आप चेंज कर सकते हैं जो कि लोड करंट है, तो उसके कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग V2 चेंज हो जाएगा. ठीक है. बाकी जो हमारा सिस्टम है, जो उसकी मैट्रिक्स है, जिसको हमने अभी लिखा है N11, N12, N21, N22, ये सेम रहेगा. इसको आप एग्जांपल से और भी समझ सकते हैं कि मान लो मेरा एक सिस्टम है जिसका ये कॉन्फ़िगरेशन है. ठीक है, ये R1 है, ये R2 है, और ये R3 है. ये मेरा एक सिस्टम है जिसको मैं रिप्रेजेंट करता हूँ एक टू पोर्ट नेटवर्क से. मान लो ये मेरा टू पोर्ट नेटवर्क है. ये मेरा ग्राउंड है, ये मेरा ग्राउंड है, और ये मेरा V1 वोल्टेज है, और यहाँ पे मेरा V2 वोल्टेज है, और दिस इज माय कॉमन ग्राउंड, और दिस इज माय नेटवर्क। ये मेरा नेटवर्क है। ठीक है, तो जो मेरा नेटवर्क है उसमें जो वैल्यूज हैं रेजिस्टेंस की R1, R2 और R3 वो फिक्स है, वो नहीं चेंज हो रही है। ये मुझे पता नहीं है कि इस नेटवर्क में क्या है, बेसिकली मैं मेजरमेंट यहाँ कर रहा हूँ। यहाँ पे वोल्टेज वोल्ट मीटर लगा रखा है, यहाँ पे एमीटर लगा रखा है, इस तरह से यहाँ वोल्ट मीटर लगा रखा है और यहाँ पे एमीटर लगा रखा है। ठीक है, तो ये मुझे नहीं पता है कि इसके अंदर क्या है, लेकिन मुझे ये पता है कि अगर मैं एक रिलेशनशिप लिख लेता हूँ V1 I1 के बीच में, दैट मीन्स इफ आई राइट अ रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन V1 एंड I1 in terms of in terms of V1 is depending on both V2। अब वो रिलेशनशिप जीरो भी हो सकता है V1 I1 पे I2 पे डिपेंड ही ना कर रहा हो, लेकिन मैं लिख देता हूँ कि V1 में डिपेंड ऑन V2 एंड I2, और I1 में ऑल्सो डिपेंड ऑन V2 एंड I2, और वाइस वर्सा भी कर सकते हैं। मतलब अगर मैट्रिक्स का इन्वर्ट लें तो V2 कैन ऑल्सो डिपेंड अपॉन V1 I1 एंड I2 कैन ऑल्सो डिपेंड अपॉन I1 V1। ठीक है, तो ये जो मैट्रिक्स है जो मैंने पहले लिखी थी, ये ऐसे भी लिखी जा सकती है, V2 I2 इज इक्वल टू इनवर्स ऑफ दिस मैट्रिक्स मल्टीप्लाइड बाय V1 I1। ठीक है, बेसिकली रिलेशनशिप लिखना है हमें इन चारों पैरामीटर्स के बीच में। तो अगर आप देखें कि हमारे पास दो इक्वेशन हमको मिलेगी, और इन दो इक्वेशन में हम, आप जानते हैं मैथमेटिक्स में इक्वेशन रूल, इफ यू हैव टू अननोन वेरिएबल्स वी कैन सॉल्व टू लीनियर इक्वेशन। So that means if two unknowns, if V1 and I1 are unknowns and other things are known, then we can easily calculate the value of the parameters N11, N12, N21 and N22. And once you have calculated these values, next time these values will remain constant in a linear circuit. इसलिए मैं बार बार सिग्निफाई कर रहा हूँ because we are taking about linear elements R1, R2, R3, we are taking about linear elements that does not change, that constant linear elements we are talking about. Okay, so this one thing I would like to emphasize, that why two-port networks are important. Usually, two-port networks are the networks which we practically use in a system. So another good example of two-port networks which we have already gone through are op-amps, operational amplifiers. If you see the operational amplifiers, you will find there is one input, there is one grounded, and usually you can have this kind of a structure. Okay, and you may have another resistance also. So maybe this is the voltage, input voltage side, and this is the input voltage side. This is the output voltage side, and this is the input voltage side, and you may have resistances R1 and R2, and this is the op-amp, and this is the grounded part. So this is also this port where you will calculate the voltage is the output port. Okay, or second port, and where you will apply the signal, that will be the your input port or one port. So this can also be treated as like a two-port network. For example, if the op-amp is treated like a network, we can just see these values. Okay, at output you will get a V0 voltage. So this may be 1, this may be 2. Okay, and these are grounded. So this is port number 1, this is port number 2, and inside we have a op-amp, which is our network. So network property, we can define this. For example, op-amp has a network property that current cannot enter through its terminals. That means the internal resistance of op-amp, if you measured here, will come out to be very high, or practically Rin will come out to be infinite. Similarly, if you measure the output resistance of the op-amp at this terminal, at its terminal, then the output resistance will come out to be equal to 0. So all these are the properties of the system. What we want to do is we have to write a system in terms of its parameters, in terms of a matrix. Okay, in terms of a matrix. So once you write in terms of a matrix, you can signify your system. Now, this is the basic introduction of two-port network. What we intend to do in this chapter. In this chapter, we will go through different two-port parameters. ठीक है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि V1 I1 और V2 I2 में बहुत सारी रिलेशनशिप हो सकती है। जैसे आप जानते हैं कि V1 I1 V2 और I2 ये 4 वेरिएबल हैं हमारे पास, जिनके साथ हम ये प्ले करेंगे। तो अब ये V1 V2 से भी जुड़ सकता है। एक एक रिलेशनशिप ये हो सकती है कि मैं V1 V2 दोनों इधर इनपुट पे ले लूँ। ठीक है, एक रिलेशनशिप ये हो सकती है कि मैं I1 और I2 इनपुट पे ले लूँ। एक रिलेशनशिप ये हो सकती है कि मैं V1 और I2 इनपुट पे ले लूँ और चौथी रिलेशनशिप हो सकती है कि मैं V2 और I1 को इनपुट पे ले लूँ। ठीक है? तो इस तरह के हम लोग कॉम्बिनेशंस बना सकते हैं और भी इनके इनवर्ट भी कॉम्बिनेशन बन जाएँगे। तो अब ये अगर V1 और V2 को मैंने इनपुट पे लिया है तो ऑब्वियसली I1 और I2 एक पैरामीटर बनेगा, तो इसको हम बोलते हैं सेट पैरामीटर। इसी तरह से अगर मैंने I1 और I2 इनपुट पे लिया है तो V1 और V2 आउटपुट पे होंगे, तो इस तरह के पैरामीटर्स को बोलते हैं वाई पैरामीटर्स या इम्पीडेंस पैरामीटर्स या एडमिटेंस पैरामीटर। अब मैंने V1 और I2 को लिया है, तो इस तरह के पैरामीटर्स को हम लोग बोल सकते हैं हाइब्रिड पैरामीटर्स। ठीक है? हाइब्रिड पैरामीटर्स, ये भी हाइब्रिड पैरामीटर है। ठीक है? और एक तरह का पैरामीटर होता है जिसे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि दैट पैरामीटर्स इज़ नोन एज़ एबीसीडी पैरामीटर्स, एबीसीडी और टी पैरामीटर्स। ठीक है? एबीसीडी पैरामीटर्स और टी पैरामीटर्स। तो टी पैरामीटर्स में हम लोग बोलते हैं कि we have a relationship between V1 I1 और एक नेटवर्क, एक फंक्शन जिसको मैट्रिक्स ए बी सी डी एंड V2 एंड माइनस ऑफ I2। ठीक है, क्योंकि एबीसीडी पैरामीटर्स में हम लोग इनपुट वेरिएबल्स को एक तरफ रखते हैं और आउटपुट वेरिएबल्स को दूसरी तरफ रखते हैं। तो मैंने ये जो रिलेशनशिप लिखी थी अभी थोड़ी देर पहले V1 I1 और V2 I2 में, तो बेसिकली ये किस तरह के पैरामीटर्स हैं, दीज आर नोन एज एबीसीडी पैरामीटर्स। लेकिन मैं रिलेशनशिप, क्योंकि मेरे पास 4 वेरिएबल हैं V1 I1 V2 I2, तो मैं किसी को भी इनपुट बना सकता हूँ और किसी को भी आउटपुट बना सकता हूँ। ठीक है? और ये सारे पैरामीटर्स आपस में कनेक्टेड हैं, Z, Y, हाइब्रिड, ABCD। अगर एक की मैट्रिक्स आपको पता है, तो दूसरे की मैट्रिक्स आप पता कर सकते हैं, अगर वो एग्ज़िस्ट करता है तो। किसी भी सर्किट के लिए चारों पैरामीटर्स एग्ज़िस्ट करें, ये ज़रूरी बात नहीं है। जैसे ट्रांसफार्मर के लिए चारों पैरामीटर्स एग्ज़िस्ट नहीं करते हैं, वो हम लोग कल देखेंगे। तो मेरे पास बेसिकली ये 4 वेरिएबल हैं और इन 4 वेरिएबल्स से मुझे रिलेशनशिप निकालनी है और उनके बिना पे डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स कैलकुलेट करने हैं, उनके बीच में रिलेशनशिप निकालनी है और ये बताना है कि कैसे हम इन रिलेशनशिप से सर्किट को एनालाइज़ कर सकते हैं, बिना ये जाने कि उस सर्किट के अंदर क्या है, उसका कनेक्शन क्या है एंड सो ऑन। ओके, so this much from my side. If you have any questions regarding this, you can always ask.